Hi everybody, this is Professor Larimore. Happy New Year! Hopefully none of you are in jail and won't be able to make the class on the 13th. I escaped unscathed through the new year this year. Welcome to Bioethics for Nurses. This is one of my favorite courses to teach, and I think it's because I try not to be political, but I do like to be a little controversial. I think that's why. You will find that you will learn, your brain will get started on this stuff during this course, and it will never get off of it. When you do things now, you will, after taking this course, when you practice, you will have all of this good stuff in the back of your head. It'll be interesting. I wanted to mention a few things about the class. There are workly week sheets that are in the course. They can be a little tedious at times, I think. I think they're important enough to put up with the tediousness. And what they do is they introduce you to a website. Hold on just a second. I have a little heater in here and it decided to take off and make noise. The course introduces you to important ethical websites. The Kennedy website, the President's Council website, lots of really neat places that most of you will not have gone before. And really that's the purpose, is to make sure that you look through the website and learn as much as you can from it and about it. So the worksheets are due weekly. 2 of them are associated with a blog, and what you'll be asked to do is put some things, either put the worksheet or put something from the worksheet onto the blog area, and you should discuss it a little bit. I don't really have an expectation of how many times you should go back and forth with your peers on that, but enough that you get something out of that discussion. There are 2 papers. One is a ethical dilemma scenario paper, and the other is a routine research paper, if there is such a thing as routine research paper. The ethical dilemma paper, first of all, you're going to come up with topics for each of these papers. Before you even ask, I'm going to tell you, yes, you can have the same topic for both of the papers. However, the papers are not the same. They're not written the same way, and they're not from the same aspect. The ethical dilemma paper, basically you're going to introduce a dilemma that either has actually happened to you in practice or one that you can make up in your head. I don't care, either way. And you're going to introduce that scenario. Then part 2, you're going to introduce the characters and what part they played in that scenario, and you're actually going to do a third person, so-and-so said and did, and that kind of thing. Part 3 of this dilemma paper has to do with the ethical principles related to nursing practice. You need to research those if you don't already know what they are, and you're going to introduce them into the paper and then relate them to your scenario in part 3. In part 4, you're going to try to solve the dilemma using a process that you have looked up and found online that fits your scenario, fits solving your scenario. So you're going to have an official problem-solving process. There are some very specific to nursing. There's lots of them out there to choose from. You won't have any trouble finding any. Part 5 is actually where it's solved, and you're going to talk about how it got solved and what happened. And then, of course, you always want to have an introduction to any paper and a conclusion to any paper, and they can just be really short. And then you're going to put your references. Part 3 and Part 4 should definitely have some references to it. That's the dilemma paper. The research paper is a research paper. You can use the same topic. Say your ethical dilemma topic is, we had a really interesting one last time, saving or retrieving sperm from a brain dead patient so that his wife or girlfriend could use that sperm later to become pregnant and have his child. Interesting, huh? I thought that one was really, really good. So the ethical dilemma paper was actually about a true situation that happened to a nurse related to this. And then a research paper was on that topic of, is it ethically responsible to do that kind of, for that kind of practice to occur, what's related, all that kind of stuff. And it's more of an official professional presentation. Speaking of papers, APA format, I stick to it. So make sure that you have a good reference. If you have questions about it, don't hesitate to ask me. Am I an expert? No, I don't think anybody's an expert at APA because it changes all the time, especially with electronic references. So if you have questions or concerns, there's a couple ways you can get help. You want to make sure you have an APA format book or online source. I use Purdue OWL. It's a neat one that I can pull up and use it all the time while I'm grading papers and things like that. Or you can use Smart Thinking. Well, you can use Smart Thinking. If you haven't heard of that yet, the university offers this program where you can send your papers in. They will tell you what's wrong with them. They won't fix them per se for you, but they'll tell you what's wrong with them and help you fix them. So if you do have trouble with writing, or if this is your first course and you're not too sure about yourself, whatever reason, you can use Smart Thinking, and they will also help you with these references as well. Alrighty, now, discussion boards. Every professor has a different idea of what discussion boards are about, or at least I think we do. My feeling about discussion boards are they're a substitute for being in class. So some of the conversation is going to be, or should be, like what happened in class, like what would happen in class. But you need to add a little bit to it. You need to provide something new and new to your peers. So the discussion board for this course is based on articles that you're going to read each week. I don't want regurgitated article information. Everybody's reading the same articles, and you don't have to put your references at the bottom either. I don't require that. You're all reading the same articles, so you don't need those references. Everybody has those. But what you do need to do is you need to say, this is how I feel about what was written in the article. I want you to go out for 5 minutes on the internet, find something related to a word or a sentence or a situation or something in an article, just one of them out of all of them, and provide some new information to your peers. You can do video, you can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can be a little creative about it. I think that pretty much tells you how I feel. Week 1, I'm a little loose on the grading week 1. It's kind of a giving because I want to be able to tell you what you need to do to always get a 5, okay? And speaking of always getting a 5, if you only respond to 2 of your peers, or if you only go into this discussion board 2 times in a week, you're not going to get a 5. To get a 5, you have to meet certain criteria, and those criteria are in the discussion board rubric, which is in the course. You want to make sure you look at that. The last thing I wanted to talk about was announcements and emails. I have 24 to 48 hours to answer your emails. I pretty much look at emails every day. I don't want you guys out there struggling even for one day, because if you were like me when I was a student, I was working full-time and trying to do school and had children and made dinner and yada, yada, yada. So